And good afternoon, folks. How you guys doing today? My name is Warp103. Hopefully you're having a pleasant day and everything else of that. And we're doing another thing for Warp103 Creations. Basically for that, the 3D printing arm of me.
I'm gonna have to rain down a godly firestorm on you.
And thank you for viewing this video. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking the icon above, and then of course hitting the bell icon to get notifications when the next video drops. So here we go. Now what we actually did was, let's show the first thing. First thing we did instead of it, we laser cut this. Well, laser cut this. Now, the reason why we laser cut this out of, and we laser cut it basically out of this. So when you laser cut out as this, you have outside relief. Now, normally it's this color, but we painted it white. No, sorry, we cut it out first. Then we painted it white, and then we painted the background white. Now, you're probably wondering, why would you do that? Well, this right here is basically our template, and this right here is what we're going to make. Split off and everything else, so that you'll see that it basically it makes a 3D rendering. Now, the reason for the template is we do like this. Now, again, we have our stripes and everything else, so that we have our black background, and this is what happens when you actually do it. So let's lean it down onto the counter, to my tabletop right here. And basically, it's like a Lego pieces. Line everything up, white pieces in. Now, again, this is just temporary, so that I just want to show you what it's going to be like, because you have to glue it and everything else like that, but it's not glued right now. But I'm just setting it into place and showing you what would normally happen. So you basically insert strips like this. You have your smaller pieces, smaller strips. Worst template that I actually. Give me a second. You have your smaller strips going in like this. Okay. So, now if you take them out and everything else, so that basically what happens is you'll have a relief like this. So basically when you feel across it, it can be raised. Now there's two ways of doing it. You can leave it like this and have basically one double thickness stars and stripes and everything else like that. But technically speaking, you could have painted it like this. Could have just went through painstakingly make the paint and everything else like that to make it stick the way you wanted to and everything else like that, which can work, you know, that's if that's what you're going for and everything else like that. But what I'm going for is actually to have relief. So when you run your hand across it, you'll actually feel it in the thing. Now again, you can paint this. This would be fine like this. You'll have it extra thick, and you'll be like, oh well, hey. Now again, this could be painted like this. So what I'm basically going for, the effect is basically like this. Now I'm just going to put them in freehand and everything else. So that again, it's supposed to be put inside of there precisely and everything else. So that's what the template is for. But I'm just going to show you what it looks like freehand if you just do it by hand and everything else. So that like a Lego pieces. Line everything up, white pieces in. That's why it's best to do it using the template and everything else. But I'm just showing you what it looks like. When you do that, it basically it makes a 3D rendering. Now, the reason for the template is we do like this. Now, again, we have who does not want to dry for some reason. I don't know. But when it's glued up, technically speaking, you know, again, I'm making a hash of it by doing it. When you look at it this way here, it looks the same on camera as the one that's over there, but the difference is and everything else of that. And again, I'm going to just, it's not glued in. when you do it this way here and everything else, that you can actually see the relief inside. Now again, it's not lined up, it's not where it's supposed to be at, but again, you can actually feel across it and everything else that to basically have 3D depth to it, whereas this one here is basically static. When you look at this one here, it's a static job. Now it does look pretty, it does look beautiful. Your lines are perfectly straight and across and everything else, so that you can't say that it's not steady and everything else, that but it has no 3D depth to it. If I run my hand across it, you'll see that it basically there's nothing to it. Whereas if you actually do it the other way instead of, and it's actually I'm just going to take it out, you'll actually feel the raised section if you actually do it with the white section out of it. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going for the relief package and everything else of that. So when you take it off and everything else, they'll be like, oh, it's relief. So the way you do that is you basically you try to get this off like this. You use another card, another blank, turn it upside down. Once you have it upside down, you can see the relief cuts. Hopefully you can see it clearly. There you go. You can see the relief cuts and everything else, and then from there you just get your glue, your wood glue. I'm using Type Bond 3, and basically what you're going to do is so that there's two ways of doing it. You can use the nozzle thing at the top and everything else of that to spread it, and I typically use scraps. Sorry, I typically use scraps of one of my pieces and everything else of that I've already have. And then from there, it's basically easier to just, what you want to do is, and again, you don't want to get it on both of these. So you want to lightly go across and everything else and just get it on the insert part only. You don't want it on the other section. Just want it on the insert. Now you can get a brush and do this and everything else. That actually easier. I do have a brush on here that I use sometimes too for that. But you just want to spread it across the top. I'm going to spread it across and so that way there you got enough glue inside and everything else so that it will stick. It will not come off when you ship it to someone else. I'm just using my finger right here so that because this is much faster to do it this way. Now you want to make sure that you don't want to close the openings and everything else so that because that will basically cause you a complete headache. There. Now we know we have that glued up well. And you just want to sit it in the back inside of the template. And again, you want to make sure you got enough glue on the section that you need to and everything else of that. And then once you get done, again, you'll see the output is going to look like this. We'll come back in just a minute so you can see what that looks like. All right. So as you can see right here, this is the completed design and everything else of that. You can see it's on there extensively right. You look at it from the side, you can actually see the depth. Now you can see it's actually curling up on one side and everything else, because that's what the last step comes in. You have to have the parchment paper or whatever paper you have. This basically it's got to be non-stick. It's got to be something that's going to be able to sit on top of it, so you can basically do like this. I'm going to be able to smash it down, but without really moving it and everything else like that. And then after that point there and everything else, of course you want to sit something extremely heavy on top of it to make sure it's done. And once it's done and everything else like that, then you'll have a 3D relief that's inside of it. And then from there, again, you can have it the base way and everything else like that, but I'm doing it the one where you actually feel it. Now, this is going to be the other part of it. Now, this is going to be painted red. A section is going to be red and everything else of that, and then a section is going to be blue. And then from there, you'll have this against the red background and everything else of that. And then you're all set. So we're just showing one section of this done and everything else of that. And again, when it's done, this will come off and everything else like that tomorrow, so that once it finished dry, but you want to let it finish dry for a day and everything else like that. But this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to be when it's done. So again, thank you guys for watching. This is Warp 103 saying warp out, have fun, go catch your guys on the